To Ogtv News with me, Mojisola Sholaja. Our top stories. Ogun State Government absorbs successful candidates of Ogun Teach Initiative. Federal Government molds state of emergency in Anambra State. House of Representatives calls for upward review of judicial officers' remuneration. UK Prime Minister promises post-Brexit, post-pandemic productive nation. Justice is a constant and perpetual will to allot to every man his due.
News. Senate raises 2022 fiscal budget to 16.45 trillion naira. Details when I return. My name is Adebola Oshomoji.
Coming up on Sport News, Nigerian international Victor Osimhen voted Serie A Player of the Month. This and more to come later on the news. My name is Moses Ojewumi. Stay with us.
Ogun State Governor Prince Dr. Abeokuta has approved immediate release of engagement letters to successful candidates of the Ogun Teach program to reduce the workload on teachers in the state. Governor Abeokuta said this achievement is in confirmation of the status of the state as not only the education capital of Nigeria, but as the intellectual melting point of the nation.
Relieve the workload of our hard-working, dedicated and diligent teachers, and also to fill vacancies in schools. Our directed at TESCOM and the SUBEB to immediately commence the release of the engagement letters to successful candidates of the Ogun Teach program. This engagement is going to be in phases. We will not be able to engage everyone at the same time. We have to manage our resources. But you have my commitment that they will begin to release those letters this week. We will continue to do all we can to ensure that teachers have the ambience to perform their divine role towards the government of their state in particular and humanity in general.
He also noted that he has approved the establishment of Ogun State Education Intervention Fund for improved funding of the educational sector of the state. Ogun State government has reassured of adequate security for commercial banks in the state, especially those in Ijebu-Ode, Ijebu North, and Shagamu local government areas. The governor of Ogun State, Prince Dr. Abeokuta, stated this at the stakeholders meeting with bankers, security chiefs, and other stakeholders at Olusegun Oshoba Press Center, Governor's Office, Okemoson, Abeokuta. Represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, Governor Abeokuta said bank officials and customers need not worry at all, but should go about their normal activities without any apprehension. The governor said necessary support is being given to security agencies in the state to put them in good stead to foil and combat crimes, even with the intervention of the Nigerian Army.
Some of the things that you see don't just happen because it happens today. You'll be feeling it all around you before it happens. Little petty robbery here and there, little things here and there. So what this administration is basically doing is to say, when a government wants to do something, they say we are finding immediate and the remote costs. Okay, so the immediate one is the one we are seeing, but the remote cost is where is it coming from? And that is why we have called all the security chiefs here, from the person who provides intelligence, and from the people who do day-to-day operations for us, and those who do interventions. But we're looking at the balance of what will give us confidence.
Separate remarks, the commander of 35 Artillery Brigade, Alamala Abeokuta, Brigadier General Adewale Adekoya, the State Director, Department of State Services, Mr. David Tulsa, and Acting Commissioner of Police, Ogun State Command, DCP Abiodun Alamutu, said they have the constitutional role to aid civil authority. Speaking Speaking, the chairman, Bankers Forum, Mr. Olusegun Olushoga, appreciated the government for always responding to the request, pleading with the government to beef up security along the axis that enters Ijebu-Ode and Shagamu and assist in the provision of armored personnel carrier. The Ogun State Security Network Agency and Amotekun Corps arrested 7 persons for stealing, cultism, and money-making ritual. In a statement by its corps commander, David Akiremi, a retired commissioner of police, said 2 of the suspects, Joshua Olayinka and Adewale Samson, were apprehended for stealing generating set, laptop, plasma television set at Balogun Iju area of Ota on September 3, 2021. Another suspect, Lawal Rashid, was arrested in Ijemo area of Abeokuta on September 29, 2021 for cult-related disturbances and since confessed upon interrogation. The other suspects were intercepted in a tricycle in Ijebu-Ode, and they all confessed to plan to make money rituals after paying the sum of 25,000 naira to a herbalist for same purpose. The Amotekun Corps commander therefore reassured all law-abiding residents of the state of the readiness to rid the state of all forms of criminality. Ogun State government has inaugurated a state steering committee on social protection towards harnessing efforts at uplifting the poor and vulnerable in the society. Inaugurating the committee at Okemoson, Abeokuta, the Chief Economic Advisor and Commissioner for Finance, Mr. Dako Okubadejo, said a lot of economic interventions have been carried out by the state through various relevant agencies. Okubadejo tasked the committee to undertake their responsibilities painstakingly and efficiently for the benefit of the people, affirming that this is very critical in assisting government to put in place necessary policies to re-empower the vulnerable to becoming significant economic agent. On his part, the chairman of the committee, who is also the Commissioner for Budget and Planning, Mr. Olaolu Olabinton, informed that Prince Dapo Abiodun-led administration have been doing a lot to ensure people don't fall into the poverty line, while much more is also being done to uplift the poor. But there hasn't been a formidable and significant mechanism to drive the impact of the interventions by the government in ensuring social protection for the people.
Because it's such a wide area, it's almost impossible to pocket it in one ministry, or one department, or one agency. So because of that, you see that it seems to be scattered, quote and unquote. If you are not careful, you will not have a concerted and coordinated mechanism for running social protection.
The committee is expected to identify the vulnerable groups in the society, measure the impact of various interventions of the state, and the committee coordinates the various interventions of the state, among other things. To complement the efforts of the current administration in Ogun State in the area of road network, the State House of Assembly, through a special committee chaired by Honorable Oludaisi Elemide in conjunction with some stakeholders, have commenced palliative works on some portions of Ogtv Ajebo Road in Abeokuta. Honorable Oludaisi Elemide, in an interview with House of Assembly correspondent Kola Woliosho, noted that this effort was to ease human and vehicular movements in the area.
Idiaba Ogtv Ajebo Road in Obafemi Owode local government area of Ogun State links the state with Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State. For some time, the road has been in a deplorable condition, but recently the Ogun State House of Assembly, through a special committee made up of the House Committee on transportation industry, trade and investment, as well as works and infrastructure, began to look at ways of effecting palliatives on the failed portions of the road to ease movements for those plying the road.
It was as a result of personal explanation on the floor of the house. Yes, and we said, okay, we cannot just be talking, giving government problem. We should be able to provide some solution. So if this one is successful, then we can now move to other constituencies as well, and that is what we are doing now.
Chairman of the committee, Honorable Oluda Isielemide, said there was need for everyone to contribute their quota to the development of the state.
We made them realize that the current financial situation, government cannot do all those roads. Over 272 kilometers have been done in this administration, and this is about 40 kilometers. So can that be done now? I cannot say no, I cannot say yes. Everybody is crying road. So that's why we fashioned out this method. And you can see that it's yielding some results. The speaker is aware, he supported us.
He added that it was high time companies in Ogun State became alive to their corporate social responsibilities. Honorable Elemide, however, lauded the initiative of the palliatives by officials of Truck Owners Association of Nigeria, TWAN, Axogrash, and members of CDC in Obafemi local government, as well as representatives of miners and quarries operators in conjunction with the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment.
It was Honorable Elemide, Chairman on Transport. The Ogun State House of Assembly invited us for a meeting. It was a stakeholders meeting. We were told that we should put our hands together to make sure that we do something about this. And so all the stakeholders made some promises, and this is the fulfillment of the promises that were made on that day. And you can see that work is in progress.
You see that before, this road is very, very bad. But now it's motorable. Everybody can see now that it's fair. And we have just started. We've not done the half of it. You understand? We still have a long way to go.
We quarries, we try as much as possible to support the government in doing the palliative of this road. Any materials they need, both stone base, then with the hardcore. So all the quarries around this place is supply them on free. Not only this axis, we are still moving to other axis when we finish this place.
I want to thank every one of them, most especially the quarry and the Truck Owners Association. They are moving all these things free of charge for us.
They, however, urged other stakeholders to support government by contributing their quota to making life more meaningful. Efforts of concerned communities did not also go unnoticed, as they also channeled drainages for easy flow of water and for the sustenance of the palliative measures.
The state government cannot do all the federal roads. So I want to beg the state government to please liaise with the federal government to please do this road for us once and for all, from Abeokuta to Ajebo.
They also assured of their regular support to government at all times.
Still ahead, TV News. The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has said Nigerians traveling to Britain will still be isolated for 7 days, as UK government is yet to comprehensively review Nigeria's vaccination certification program. The executive director of the agency, Dr. Faisal Shuaib, disclosed this at a briefing on the progress of COVID-19 vaccination in Nigeria. Shuaib said the vaccines administered in Nigeria were approved by the UK government. He noted that the UK officials were also involved with the vaccination program in Nigeria through the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office. The executive director of the agency said the agency was optimistic that by the time Nigeria's COVID-19 vaccination program certification was assessed, it will be approved by the UK government. He said Nigeria's status has not changed. Nigeria is not among the listed countries that need mandatory quarantine for 14 days in a supervised UK facility. The statement released by the UK government is in line with the statement released last week that Nigerians will continue to isolate upon arrival to the UK. This is similar to the nation's requirement to have travelers from the UK isolate for 7 days upon arrival in Nigeria. Shuaib also pointed out that in recent weeks, the agency had intensified campaigns for the uptake of second dose using multiple media strategies, stakeholders, and community engagements. The World Health Organization on Wednesday endorsed the RTS-AS01 malaria vaccine, the first against the mosquito-borne disease that kills more than 400,000 people a year, mostly African children. The decision followed a review of a pilot program deployed since 2019 in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi, where more than 2 million doses were given of the vaccine, first made by the pharmaceutical company GSK in 1987. The agency's Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said after reviewing the evidence from those countries, who said it was recommending the broad use of the world's first malaria vaccine. The WHO said in a statement it was recommending the widespread application of the vaccine among children in sub-Saharan Africa and in other regions with moderate to high malaria transmission. Many vaccines exist against viruses and bacteria, but this was the first time that the WHO recommended for broad use of a vaccine against a human parasite. The federal government has threatened to declare a state of emergency in Anambra to ensure that the November 6 governorship election in the state takes place. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, said this on Wednesday after the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The minister said that the government was determined to ensure a heat-free election in Anambra, despite the wave of attacks and killings in the state. Malami said when national security is attacked and the sanctity of the constitutionally guaranteed democracy is threatened, no possibility is ruled out. Continuing, he said that as a government, the responsibility is to ensure the sustenance of democratic order, adding that government owe it a responsibility to provide security of lives and properties. So, within the context of these constitutional obligations of the government or the desire to establish democratic norms and order, there is no possibility that is ruled out. The minister said that the federal government had resolved that the election will take place, adding that it will ensure the provision of security for the exercise. The House of Representatives has urged the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission to immediately review the remuneration of judicial officers in line with present economic realities. The House also urged the federal government to, in line with judicial autonomy, accede to the increase in statutory transfer to the judiciary in the coming fiscal year. Furthermore, the House mandated its Committee on Judiciary to work towards an amendment of the Certain Political, Public and Judicial Office Holders' Salary and Allowances Act by removing the remunerations of judicial officers from that of political and public office holders. The committee is to ensure compliance with these resolutions and report back within 6 weeks for further legislative actions. The chairman of the House Committee on Judiciary, Mr. Onofiok Luke, who moved the motion, dismissed the pay currently being received by judicial officers. The judiciary should be applauded for the uninterrupted democratic rule that Nigeria has enjoyed since 1999. This was the submission of legal practitioners who spoke with our reporter, Tunde Olaniran, on the roles of the judiciary in the sustenance of democracy in Nigeria. His report.
Major pillar of democratic governance, which deals with the administration and dispensation of justice. Since the return to democracy in Nigeria on May 29, 1999, the judiciary has been playing a key role to sustain it. The question is, has the judiciary lived up to expectation?
The judiciary has fared well, fairly well, in balancing things in the country. If you take a look at it, you see that a lot of things have happened in this country, and all eyes have been on the judiciary to play a balancing role to determine some of the things. At this point in time that we are in now, all attention is on the judiciary as regards the VAT issue. Those are some of the roles that the judiciary plays.
Although we have not got there, but even the stability that we have, the judiciary has been very pivotal. If you look at it, even in our trying period over the years, even during military interregnum, the judiciary had always been there.
For any democratic society to thrive, the judiciary must be given its place. And in Nigeria so far, we discovered that the judiciary has helped a lot in preventing chaos, breakdown of law and order, especially when the contentions, when elections are held and the allegation of crime, stealing of ballot boxes and all that, and when all these things are challenged, usually we will come in to see how to give substantial justice.
In 22 years of unbroken and uninterrupted democratic rule, questions have been on whether the judiciary have lived up to its constitutional mandate, but these legal practitioners gave the judiciary a pass mark.
So it's really, I would give the judiciary a pass mark for what it has done over time to balance the society, to show us the way to go, to chart the proper course for the country.
As time goes on, the judiciary will keep on improving, and with the right attitude and political will on behalf of everybody, particularly our leaders, to make sure that our judiciary maintains its independence and also maintains a pride of place in the justice sector. Even among the international community, I believe the judiciary will still do a lot better.
Although the judicial system of this country is not perfect, there's no doubt about that. Even as human beings, we are not perfect. But the judicial process, as it is a process. It's the framework, it's progressive.
They all agreed that there are rooms for improvement.
Oh, there is a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of room for improvement in justice delivery, in speed, in consistency. There's a lot of room for improvement.
We have so many laws, but the mechanism put in place to implement some of these laws, they are not really in good shape. That's the issue.
Judiciary is the third arm of government whose role is to interpret laws enacted by the legislature and apply such existing law to individual cases. Tunde Olaniro, Ogtv News.
As institutional training curriculum to enhance the teaching of relevant laws in law faculties of Nigerian universities and the Nigerian Law School is underway at a stakeholders workshop on review and validation of draft handbook for integrating the Administration of Criminal Justice Act into the curriculum. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, who unveiled the handbook, called for strengthening of criminal justice sector policy to further support implementation and compliance. It was a convergence of Nigeria's finest law teachers, deans of faculties of law at the federal, state, and private universities in Nigeria and the law school. The stakeholders workshop, described as a new revolution, is meant to work out strategies for integrating the innovative provisions of Administration of Criminal Justice Act into the country's universities curriculum.
Actually, is targeting law teachers while giving them a resource material as to how they can integrate it, instead of they struggling to look for different laws, different case law.
Starting from the university law school, what they're trying to do is they are not going to teach lawyers, but aspirants from the University of Nigerian Law School, and I'm sure this will have a great impact.
workshop organized by the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies and MacArthur Foundation is the first in 6 decades.
Opportunity for students, for academics, and for even the judges also to understand these provisions from the perspectives of academics.
Guidebook is intended to introduce the main provisions and the highlights contained in the Administration of Criminal Justice Act.
The Nigeria Civil Service Union has called on the federal government to make necessary amendments to the Pension Act 2014 to protect the interests of workers and pensioners in terms of gratuity payment. The labor union condemned in strong terms the refusal of government, employers and the public service to pay gratuity to retirees under the contributory pension scheme, which they lamented had caused the death of many pensioners and make others destitute. In a communique at the end of an emergency meeting of the union in Abuja, the NEC canvassed very strict implementation of penalty instituted in the Pension Act 2014 as amended for all defaulting government institutions in order not to deprive pensioners the opportunity to enjoy the fruit of their labor. It expressed sadness over the lack of political will by the federal and state government to deploy necessary funds to defray their own share of the contributions to pension fund administrators. The union also bemoaned the unprecedented anomalies identified in the Contributory Pension Scheme Implementation Policy Guide, despite a very strong capital base in the National Pension Commission. The National Insurance Commission has expressed worry that most public buildings and buildings under construction above 2 floors are not adequately insured. The Deputy Commissioner for Insurance Technical, NICOM, Sabiu Abubakar, made this known at a sensitization workshop for the Federal Fire Service and State Fire Service officers on insurance of public buildings and buildings under construction held in Abuja. He said the development has further highlighted the urgent need for the Commission to implement measures that will ensure that these buildings are adequately insured. The lack of insurance policy for public building is a clear violation of Section 65 of the Insurance Act 2003, which stipulates that all public buildings must be adequately insured. Also, it violates Section 64 of the Act, which provides that all buildings under construction above 2 floors must be adequately insured. Abubakar stated further that the essence of insurance of public buildings and buildings under construction above 2 floors is to cushion the impact and reduce the burden and liabilities that the owner or government will have to bear in the likely occurrence of catastrophic events such as natural disasters, fire, accidents, building collapse, injuries, or death to third parties. This, he noted, will assist in saving the government's money, which can be channeled towards augmenting the needs of the citizenry, providing infrastructure and creating employment, among others. The rate of school children kidnapping is now alarming, and the act is fast becoming a menace in Nigeria, requiring strong actions from government, school administrators, and parents. Our reporter, Elizabeth Esson, who has been following this development, reports that respondents who spoke on the matter called for adequate synergy between government at all levels, schools, and parents to further strengthen security in schools. She now reports.
Since the infamous kidnapping of 276 girls from a school in Chibok, Borno State in April 2014 by the terrorist organization popularly known as Boko Haram, attacks on schools and kidnappings have steadily increased. More than 1,000 students have been reported abducted from schools across northern Nigeria since December 2020, although most have since been released. In Ogun State, security agencies have been collaborating with government and some of the schools to beef up security within and around schools.
I directed my head of operation and unit and commander to set up Operation Rapid Response, who are deployed to various schools to make sure that they nip kidnapping in the bud.
We have put into the same board teachers, head teachers in particular now, the need for security consciousness. Because before you can kidnap a boy now or a student in a school, somebody must have done a preliminary check. He must have gone there to look at the loopholes, to look at the area whereby he can easily enter, or he can easily have a penetration as far as kidnapping the child.
So the staff also should be equipped. There should be regular training. Security personnel should come, train them, tell them these are the ways to handle children. You don't just expose them unnecessarily. Schools, as much as you have security personnel, your teachers also should be updated. This is an age of information, so nobody has an excuse for not knowing what to do per time.
According to respondents, there is need for schools to put in place adequate security measures for the safety of the pupils and students.
I'll say we are in a missionary school. We start with prayers that the Lord will protect our children. Then physically we have security measures put in place, like from the gates. Once the pupils are in school, the gates is shut. There's a gate man assigned there, of course, to make sure that the gates are locked. Nobody goes in and out until it's closing time.
Before I put my children in a school, I want to know what security tips they have in place. Are their security personnel, are they trained? Are they well equipped? Are they registered with the national body that if there is anything, if I lodge a complaint, they can be able to trace who the security personnel is or who the agency is.
Parents on their parts also need to assist school authorities by complementing their efforts at ensuring adequate safety of their wards.
When the children leave school, they move in group. They don't go through corner. They go through main streets. Then they don't answer to any call from a stranger.
They should comply with us, comply with the school rules and regulations. If, like I said, if they have to change their mind about coming to pick their rewards in the school, they must notify the school authority or the teacher so that they can know who is who coming to pick the child. There will not be arguments.
I think each family should have a particular security code that you use for your children, like something that even if you meet strangers, anyone who cannot give an answer to a particular question that you ask my children, they will not follow you, irrespective of who you are. And then let us differentiate. This person is family, that person is a teacher or an uncle. Everybody is not uncle.
Coupled with a poor economic environment, rising inflation and general insecurity, respondents affirmed that a situation where millions of kids are not in school due to fear of being attacked and kidnapped would amount to the country playing games with its future. Elizabeth Esson, Ogtv News.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's now time to join Bola Oshomoji for business news.
Welcome to business segment of the news. The governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, is committed to helping the state retain the leading position as the most business-friendly state in Nigeria and the state with the largest number of industries in the country. Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Kike Lomolonge, stated this disclosed this to our reporter, Tunde Olaniro, on steps taken by the state government to make doing business profitable in the state, his report.
The vision of the Prince Dapo Abiodun-led administration is to create a focused and qualitative governance while creating an enabling environment for a public-private sector partnership which is fundamental to the economic growth of the state and individual prosperity of the people. Individual prosperity is impossible without business thriving and flourishing in the society. To achieve this, quite a lot of programs and policies such as Ogun State Enterprise Development Agency, Ogun State Investment Promotion Council, Ogun Invest, among others, have been put in place by the current administration in the state.
I've actually created new economic development clusters. We've created 5 of them. the Ijebu Economic Development Cluster, the Remo Economic Development Cluster, Magboro, Abeokuta, and Aton Lusada. The reason why we created these clusters is really to provide a one-stop shop with value chain and synergistic effects to attract companies to come and set up in Ogun State so as to achieve global competitiveness.
We're particularly excited at the one that is located around Ijebu, where you have a carve-out for this small, and medium enterprises in the state. You have baseline infrastructure provided. There'll be the roads there, access roads, inner roads, there'll be water, there'll be electricity, reliable, dependable electricity, sewage treatment, all the baseline infrastructure will be provided. These businesses will then just come in. Once they acquire their land, they can plug and play. They just bring their equipment and they start operation. So they don't have to worry periodically about buying diesel or maintaining generators or sinking boreholes or getting water tankers to provide water. No, everything will be provided, just like we have in most of the developed world, and they can operate. It's going to be a game changer for our MSMEs to have access. We're also going to make arrangements for them to be able to acquire land in those economic development clusters such that there will be capital providers with friendly payment terms, for them to acquire, to get access to those MSME parks within the economic development cluster.
The Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Kikero Molunge, said the government is excited about the positive impact of the policies on the business community in the state.
Again, like I said, His Excellency is driven to help Ogun State retain that leading position as the business-friendly state in Nigeria. Also, we are also very keen on maintaining our leadership status as a state with the largest number of industries. So as you can see, there's a lot going on. We have a lot of infrastructural development, over 270 kilometers of road either under construction or being rehabilitated across the state. It has never happened in the history of the state that you have so much going on. So you can see the various aspects of various parts of the state undergoing changes based on all the work being done by His Excellency.
Ogun State, under the leadership of Prince Dr. Abiodun, who is unwilling to give up its first place as the most industrialized state in Nigeria, is also seeking to become number one in Africa. Tunde Olaniro, Ogtv News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has written to the National Assembly informing both the Senate and the House of Representatives that he will, at noon tomorrow, Thursday, present the 2022 Appropriation Bill. The presentation of the Appropriation Bill will be made during a joint session of both chambers. President's letter was read during plenary today, Wednesday, by the President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan. The Senate on Wednesday passed the revised medium-term expenditure framework, MTEF, and fiscal strategy paper, FSP, sent to the National Assembly by the President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday. The medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper are parameters on which yearly appropriation bills are predicted. In the revised MTEF for 2022-2024, President Muhammadu Buhari had increased the projected aggregate expenditure of the federal government for the 2022 fiscal year from 13.98 trillion naira to 16.45 trillion naira. However, the Senate approved 16.39 trillion naira as federal government's projected aggregate expenditure for year 2022, presenting a reduction of 60 billion naira from the 16.45 trillion total expenditure proposed by the President. Similarly, the House of Representatives has passed the revised 2022-2024 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. The passage, which came about 24 hours after the President Muhammadu Buhari presented the executive bill for amendment, followed delaying consideration and adoption of the report by the House Committee on Finance at the plenary on Wednesday. The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, had read Buhari's cover letter to lawmakers on Tuesday, after which some members demanded that the bill be subjected to debate in other legislative processes. Gbajabiamila had, however, faulted the lawmakers on technical grounds. And that was business news. Back to Moji.